There we go. I had to unmute my mic there on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So here we are, folks. It is Friday. Thank goodness. And I appreciate all you guys being here on this beautiful, beautiful day. Hopefully, wherever you are, you've had a good week, and it hasn't been too bad for you. It hasn't been too cray, as some people would say. I don't know if I like that color. You can kind of scroll through these are. So that's kind of weird. The remote control for the light is now changing the LG portable air conditioning here. That's kind of it's like, no, that's not what I want. It's pretty crazy when the remote control for your light starts changing the everything that's going on behind this. It's kind of weird. That is weird. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, all right, everybody. Anyway, I'm Bishop Long, and I appreciate you guys being here with us on this Friday. First of all, a couple things. If you want to go to a really great website that has a bunch of really cool shows, paranormal shows, well, this is what you got to do. You got to go to a website called kgradb.com. kgradb.com. Make sure you go there and put Bishop as your promo code. You're going to get 30% off your subscription. So why not? I mean, that'll save you money. It's really, they have some really very cool shows there. This show actually airs on the platform as well. So, yep, KGRADB. And put Bishop as your promo code. Don't forget, because you're, again, 30% off. You save every penny you can. And they have really, really cool shows. If you love the paranormal like I do, well, then go check them out. I think you'll like it. Now, also, you can go to my website. It's bishopjameslong, LONG.com. That's easy, bishopjameslong.com. And you can click on the store link. We do have some Benedictine bracelets there. We have a Benedictine necklaces there available. So we have several items there for you. So just click on bishopjameslong, LONG.com, and go to the store link. We also, if you want to take classes, a lot of people ask about the classes. We do have them available, and they're online. You learn at your own pace. So you can go to my website, bishopjameslong.com, and click on the class link. But please make sure you follow the instructions. People don't send me a friend request on Facebook. I'm like, well, if you don't send me a friend, I can't add you to the classes. So it's very, very simple. So anyway, just go there and check it out, bishopjameslong.com. And then finally, if you want to know more information about the church, it's really, really simple. Well, thank you there, Judy Ham. The church is usocc.org. That's it. It's simple, easy peasy, and usocc.org. That is the church's website. Now, tonight, we do have night prayer, as we do Monday through Friday, every Monday through Friday. So that's at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so again, Monday through Friday. So if you want to join us for night prayer, like really simple, just simply go to usocc.org, scroll down to where it says night prayer, and there you go. Now, Tommy is in here. Father Tommy is in here. Father Tommy, were we able to get, because I know Father Tommy was running Mass, and because of some issues that sometimes Facebook has, I just want to make sure, do we have, are you able to do live there or no? Because that we couldn't do it, I think, because of some issues at Facebook. Facebook makes it so complicated. Oh, yeah, the oil is beautiful. Yeah, the oil. Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, right now we have it on recorded only. So, but I'll put that on. What we need to do, Tom, is send me the best link where people can go to. We'll put it on the church's website. So, yeah, so here we are. We're getting ready to, we're getting into the Christmas season. It is December the 8th. And I tell you what, we're going to have some good times tonight. You know, a lot of people know about Christmas and, the secular world, Santa Claus. Look, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, people kind of get a little kind of caught up. Well, you can't say Santa Claus, and it's okay. Just relax. But there is an opposite of Santa Claus. Did you know that? There's an opposite. Now, of course, Santa Claus is loosely based on St. Nicholas. A lot of people don't know that, and I'm curious why. Some people don't know that it's Santa. Now, of course, the Coca-Cola Santa Claus, and yeah, but for those of you who don't know, Santa Claus is actually based on Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas, for those of you who don't, he was a Catholic bishop who lived during the 4th century. What's now, by the way, known as modern Turkey, and he was known for his incredible generosity and his gift giving to the poor and the less fortunate. And then, of course, over the centuries, his stories and legends surrounding him evolved, and eventually giving rise to the figure of Santa Claus, as we know today. So, of course, we know Santa Claus is a cool guy. He's a cool guy unless you're on the naughty list. And if you're on the naughty list, well, there is someone else that's going to come visit you besides Santa Claus. And we know for a fact that Mr. Producer, who's behind the scenes right now, he's on the naughty list. We know, we absolutely know that. So, Mr. Producer, I'm sorry, but I have been informed you are on the naughty list. Now, there's nothing else I can do about that. So stop writing me. Mr. Producer was writing me as saying, please take me off. I have no control of that, Mr. Producer. I have no control over that. I can't control what happens and who's on the naughty list and who's not. What did I knock down? See, I knocked something down because he's now Mr. Producer just threw a remote control at me. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Bill's in trouble. He's always in trouble. Always in trouble. Bill's always stirring it up. But anyway, there is someone that we can learn about Krampus. Not Krankus, Judy Ann. Krampus. Well, thank you there. Thank you for the gift. I appreciate that. So let's get into our presentation. Today we're going to embark on a very fascinating journey into the realm of folklore. So let's understand that as we delve into the mysteries and the enigmatic figure of Krampus. You know, Krampus, for those of you who don't know, Krampus is a horned, anthropomorphic figure from Central European folklore, who, by the way, during the Christmas season, punishes children and Mr. Producer who have misbehaved. In contrast with St. Nicholas, by the way, Santa Claus, who rewards the well-behaved with gifts. Well, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed scholars and curious minds, hopefully this enthralling exploration of the legendary figure known as Krampus will just be exciting for you. So as we gather together here with your little eggnog, or perhaps maybe your coffee or hot chocolate, we are embarking on a captivating journey into the heart of Central European folklore, where we are going to unravel this enigmatic tale of a horned, cloven hoof entity, demon, that actually has captured the imaginations of people for centuries. So throughout our time together, we will delve into the historical origins, the cultural significance, which is important, and contemporary influences of Krampus. Krampus, by the way, is Krampus. AJ True Crime said, don't forget the beer. So we know the Krampus is visiting AJ True Crime. Okay, we all know that. Well, everybody, AJ True Crime, I'm just telling you now. I'm giving you a hint here. So seeking to understand the enduring allure of this complex and multifaceted figure. So from its roots in pre-Christian tradition, its modern day manifestations in popular culture, Krampus, actually, thank you, stands out as a testament to the enduring power of folklore and myth in shaping our collective consciousness. We're going to delve into the depths of a timeless legend. By the way, that's taken quite seriously in some countries, probing the intricate interplay of morality, tradition, societal symbolism that lies at the heart of the Krampus mythos. Now, as we unravel this mysteries surrounding this compelling and scary figure, we gain to get a deeper appreciation for the rich tapestry of human storytelling and the profound impact it has on our understanding of the world around us. Now, for those of you I will answer questions at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But right now, what I want to do is teach about this particular topic, and then we'll open it up after that. How's that? So without further, let's embark on this intellectual odyssey as we shed light on the captivating tale of Krampus and the enduring legacy it holds in the annals of folklore and culture society. For those of you who want to know about the origins of Krampus, we have to start there. Where did this begin? Who is this Krampus guy? And that's right. They did make a movie, and it's a pretty good movie. I actually like Krampus. See, the origins of Krampus can be traced back to pre-Christian German traditions, particularly in the Alpine regions of Austria, Bavaria, and other parts of Central Europe. For those of you who don't know, Krampus is said to be the companion, the friend of St. Nicholas. He's a friend. And his name is derived from Old High German word Krampen, which actually means claw. The historical origins of Krampus can be traced back, like I said, before the Christian folklore and traditions in the Alpine regions. And by the way, it's now Austria, Bavaria, Croatia, Slovenia, and even parts of Italy. Krampus is huge. And not only is huge, it's taken seriously. The figure of Krampus emerged from a blend of pagan beliefs, so even ancient rituals and Christian influences, creating a complex, multifaceted character that was deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of the region. One of the earliest known references to a horned demonic figure resembling Krampus dates back to pre-Christian German folklore, where tales of malevolent spirits and wild, untamed creatures roam the wintry landscapes. So you got to put yourself in this position. You know, if you're in the 15th, 16th, 17th century, and you're living in these areas that's very wooded, it's very scary, it could be foggy. So there's a lot of these tales of these malevolent and wild, untamed creatures that lurk in the woods. Now, many times they did this to kids. They told these kids these tales so that they wouldn't go into the woods and get lost, or, God forbid, go into the woods and, you know, there are animals in the woods. So a lot of the parents and grandparents would tell, you know, their grandchildren or the children, don't go out in the woods. Krampus will get you, or something of this nature, so they wouldn't get hurt. And of course, that was passed down from generation to generation. That's how really it starts in the woods. And these beings, these malevolent creatures that were in the woods, allegedly, in the German area. And remember, German, if you've never been to Germany, I've never been up, but I have some friends, the clergy friends, and they send me pictures. It is beautiful. There are mountains, big, gigantic mountains, very wooded area in many locations. But these scary creatures that lurked and roamed around the woods were often associated with the winter solstice and the darkest, coldest nights of the year, embodying the harsh and unforgiving aspects of nature during this time. So you can understand, in a way, why parents told the kids, don't go out in the woods, especially during the wintertime, because the wintertime could be very harsh and dangerous. Okay. Yeah. Just send me a message, Vicky. Yeah, just send me a message. Yeah, just send me a private message, Vicky. Yeah, we can talk about that. So I can understand why grandparents and parents would want to tell their kids and grandbabies this, you know, even though you kind of think it's like they're going to give them nightmares, but they want to keep them out of this harsh and unforgiving aspects of nature, cold and wintry. So with the spread of Christianity throughout Europe, particularly during the Middle Ages, what happened was pagan traditions and Christian beliefs began to intertwine, resulting in the assimilation of pre-existing folklore into the Christian framework. This is in the winter solstice, especially in the pagan community. December 25th is very important. The church at this time, was Jesus born on December 25th? No, absolutely not. Jesus was not born in December the 25th. There's no way. Scripture talks about how the sheep were out gazing and the shepherds were there with them. Well, they would not have been out in the pasture, eating during winter. So actually, historically speaking, Jesus would have been born on the first day of Nisan, which technically is March, perhaps even April. It's debatable, but either March 1st or April 1st, somewhere around that time. And because Jesus was born on the same time when the temple lambs were slaughtered. See, the temple lambs were slaughtered once a year. And or not slaughter, I'm sorry, they were given birth, the temple, the sheep. And so Jesus, being the good shepherd, was actually born during this time. That's not that's obviously a pretty interesting historical theological aspect if you think about it. But December 25th was a very heavy pagan holiday. It was acknowledged through the pagan culture. So they created the December the 25th as Jesus' birthday. Now, that all started, of course, by a clergy member who later stated that, Jesus was not born on December 25th. I'll talk about that maybe one day in Bible study. So really, this is what December the 25th was. It was a very heavy pagan holiday. And so you have these horned demonic creatures in the German folklore that's intertwined with Christianity, with the Catholic, especially Catholicism. And as a result, the figure of Krampus became intertwined with the Christian feast of St. Nicholas, which, by the way, is the feast on St. Nicholas is celebrated on December the 6th. So in this context, Krampus is often depicted as the dark counterpart to St. Nicholas, who rewards, St. Nicholas rewards well-behaved children with gifts and treats. But as said already 3 times, we know Mr. Producer is definitely going to be visited by Krampus. You'll have to tell us about it, Mr. Producer. Now, while St. Nicholas symbolizes benevolence and kindness, Krampus embodies the concept of punishment for those who have misbehaved or strayed from the moral path. It's interesting because this duality reflects the age-old struggle between good and evil, the yin and the yang, light and darkness. It permeates many cultural and religious traditions. It certainly does. Okay. Mr. Producer says, I've got plenty of traps in case Krampus comes. Oh, I'm going to give Krampus a call. You didn't know that I have him on speed dial. Oh, I do. Oh, it's true. Yeah. Mr. Producer, I tell you what. But it is this duality, this duality reflects that age-old struggle between the good and evil. And the name Krampus itself is derived from Old High German. As I talked to you earlier, it meant Krampen, meaning claw. It underscores the creature's menacing and otherworldly nature. Now, I forgot to let me plug this up. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. My bad. I forgot to plug that charger up. So early depictions of Krampus often portrayed him as a horned, beast-like figure with hooves, long pointed tongue, and chains, big, huge, heavy chains around his body, evoking a sense of primal, untamed power. Thank you. And the chains, the reason he had all these chains is because the folklore was that, if you're bad or if you go out in the woods, Krampus is going to chain you up and drag you with him. So when they hear, kids would hear chains. So you got to think about this in the Middle Ages. So the parents would rattle chains and say, Krampus is outside. If you're not good, what you see. This is how it starts. And for those of you who are offering gifts to the ministry, thank you so much for that. I apologize that I'm not said thank you individually. It's just I have 2 different computers running at the same time, and I don't see it. So thank you very much. Thank you. And by the way, he has that pointed tongue, chains, evoking a sense of primal, untamed power, evil power. And over time, the legend of Krampus became intertwined with various customs and festivities, which are huge, by the way, in some parts of the world. Particularly, by the way, you can Google this, the observance of Krampusnacht. Krampusnacht. You just refreshed then, Vicky. So Krampus not or Krampus not, or Krampus night. That's on the evening of December the 5th. So obviously, because the feast of St. Nicholas is on the 6th. So Krampus night is on the evening of December the 5th. So during Krampus not, and let me spell that for you in case you want to Google it, because I love history. So hopefully you're enjoying this. I love teaching history. I get excited about teaching history. When it comes to history, it's very cool, especially when you learn culture. One of my all-time favorite classes that I took at Loyola University was sociology. Loved it. And I was deeply honored to be taught by one of the greatest, and I think one of the leading influences in sociology. Thank you. His name is Dr. Marcel Fredericks. If you don't know, check him out, guys. He actually went to Harvard University. The man was brilliant. So if you love sociology, I encourage you strongly to look up Dr. Marcel Fredericks, Loyola University, Chicago. It was so wonderful because we got deep into culture and understanding different perspectives. And that's how I live my life. That's why I guess judging people, you have to learn their life first, understand where they're coming from. And that sociology, I was taught that. So Dr. Marcel Fredericks, but during Krampus not, and that's Krampus NACHT. This is amazing. You should Google this. It's Krampus not, KRAMPUS NACHT. There you go. Thank you there, Jennifer. Thank you for putting that in the chat there. Krampus not. So what would happen during this time is individuals dressed as, well, thank you there. Okay, Mr. Producer. I guess I won't call Krampus after all. He put a URL there, so I guess I won't have to call Krampus on him. But during Krampus not, individuals dressed as Krampus would roam the streets, visiting homes and engaging in playful yet eerie interactions with the community, often involving loud bells, chains, and frightening costumes. And they are frightening. And these traditions, rooted in ancient pagan rituals and Christian folklore, have endured for centuries, serving as a testament to the enduring influence of Krampus in cultural tapestry of Central Europe. It is really big. Krampus not is huge. And before I actually did research on this, I knew a little bit about Krampus not, but as we get deeper into it, it's pretty fascinating. Oh, by the way, tonight, and whoever won those calendars. Remember last week we had 2 winners for calendars. I don't have your message on Facebook, so I can't send you the calendars. So I looked, and I don't see them. So you need to send me, if you won those calendars, you got to send. You go on Facebook, make sure on TikTok, or just go to bishopjameslong.com, and you'll scroll down to where it says social media and it says official Facebook. Click it and send me a message there. But tonight, later on, before we get off air, I'm going to be giving away these stockings. They're really cool. They're really, really cool. I saw them. They were on sale. This was the Halloween. They were for Halloween, but I saw them at the store. And they were very, very inexpensive. But they're really cool. And so I'll be giving these away tonight. So one winner, I'll say, okay, we're going to go for this one. But so you need to listen to this lecture. You never know. And also, I'll probably be giving another calendar away from that Judy Ann. I don't have it with me. Shoot, dog. It's over there. Hold on. I got to show you. Okay. There we go. Judy Ann is a professional photographer, and she's also, and we'll get back to Krampus now. Hold on. She's a photographer, And she's also a fantastic writer too, by the way. And she happens to be a very good friend of mine. But she made these calendars for us, and they're beautiful. They are beautiful, guys. So this is the front part right here. Hey, Mr. Producer, you know what? I think I'll send you one too. Mr. Producer, send me a message on Facebook and send me your address, and I'll be happy to send you one. They are beautiful. And I'll send your mom one if she wants one. But here, look at this. Let me move this out of the way. Isn't that amazing? And she said she was only 50 yards away when she took that picture. But they are just beautiful, beautiful pictures here. And it's a 2024 calendar. And anyway, I'm going to be giving maybe a couple of those away tonight as well. Look at that. See, he's smelling her. He's smelling Judy Ann right now. He's saying, "Oh, now it's supper time." See, that's what the big boy is doing here. And but yeah, I'll be giving a couple of those away tonight. So, yeah, 50 yards. Yeah. So we'll be doing that tonight. So the stockings and two of those calendars will be tonight. So Krampus, let's get back to it. So today, the figure of Krampus continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world, reflecting the timeless appeal of folklore and the enduring power of myth. So let's talk about folklore and tradition. In folklore, Krampus is often depicted as a demonic figure. As I mentioned, it had horns and hooves and a long, pointed, slithering tongue. And so on the night of December the 5th, thank you very much, Chad. On the night of December the 5th, known as Krampus Nacht, people in alpine regions participate in big parades where individuals dressed as Krampus roam the streets, frightening and amusing the onlookers and reminding the kids they better be good. So in folklore and tradition, Krampus, he's a menacing, otherworldly figure deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of the alpine regions of Central Europe as the dark counterpart to the benevolent Santa Claus. Krampus embodies the concept of punishment for those who misbehaved, playing a pivotal role in the observance of Christmas season and the associated festivities. So he's depicted as a horned creature, distorted creature with a fearsome growl and the horrible smell. Krampus serves as a stark contrast to the jolly and generous nature of St. Nicholas. And in many traditions, by the way, Krampus is said to accompany St. Nicholas during his visits to homes and communities. So where he dishes out punishment to the naughty children, and Santa Claus rewards the well-behaved with gifts and treats. By the way, the observance of Krampus Nacht, or Krampus Night, as it's on the eve of December the 5th, it's a central element of the folklore and tradition surrounding Krampus. During this nocturnal event, what happens is individuals dressed as Krampus, they roam the streets, often accompanied even by St. Nicholas, engaging in playful yet eerie interactions with the community. And it may involve, sometimes they'll allow bells or chains to scare the kids, frightening costumes, creating an atmosphere of both fear and excitement. So, in some regions, it's believed that Krampus actually also has a bundle of branches, or sometimes even a whip, which is used to chastise those who have misbehaved. This Krampus is kind of a sicko. So this symbolic act, it reinforces the notion that Krampus serves as a disciplinary figure, ensuring that children adhere to societal norms and values. But here's the question that I have. Krampus is this horned, hooves, slithering tongue, nasty, filthy, dirty, smelly creature that punishes the bad kids, that disciplines the bad children. While Santa Claus goes around and ho, 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 comes out once a year and gets all the credit. But if Krampus is disciplining the bad kids, doesn't that make Krampus a good guy? That's a problem. I don't know. But anyway, the fear of encountering Krampus on Krampus Nacht is intended to encourage good behavior and obedience. among the younger members of the community and even older members too. The imagery and symbolism associated with Krampus in folklore and tradition, they're deeply rooted in themes of morality, consequence, and even the duality of human nature, the good and evil. And Krampus represents the darker aspects of the human psyche, embodying the consequences of wayward behavior and the need for moral order within society. So the juxtaposition of St. Nicholas and Krampus reflects the age-old struggle between good and evil, as I mentioned, light and darkness. It's a theme that's pervasive in many cultural and religious traditions. Now, the observance of Krampusnacht and the presence of Krampus in local parades and festivities, it really does serve as a means of reinforcing social norms and values within communities, particularly in the context of child discipline or rearing, in that case. By embodying the consequences of misbehavior, Krampus plays a role in instilling a sense of accountability and more responsibility in the younger generations, contributing to the maintenance of social order and coherence or cohesion. So in this way, Krampus represents a complex and multifaceted figure with the rich tapestry of Central European folklore and tradition. It serves as a symbol of both fear and the enduring struggle between light and darkness, punishment, reward. And that continued observance of Krampusnacht and the enduring presence of Krampus in cultural practices, it highlights the profound influence of this enigmatic figure on the collective consciousness of the communities where this legend actually exists. Now, as far as it being in society, Krampus serves as a cultural and societal symbol. It embodies, again, the if you think about this duality, Santa Claus good, Krampus bad, punishment, reward. And the tradition of Krampus is deeply rooted, and it serves as reinforcing, the good behavior. The role of Krampus is actually multifaceted, encompassing cultural, psychological, and even sociological dimensions that have contributed to its enduring presence. Krampus serves as a symbolic figure that plays a significant role in reinforcing values and behavioral norms. Now, some people don't like Krampus. They think, well, it's scaring kids and making you think that Krampus is going to come and hit you with the birch branches or with a whip. That actually reinforces physical violence. It's not really, that's not Krampus's role. It's more so of, I have this whip, and even when they do, they're not like violently. It's a tap. So a lot of people, I've read online where a lot of people are saying, well, that's just terrible. That's just, how could anybody do that? That's psychological damage to a child. I understand the argument, but at the same time, if you're brought up that Krampus is going to go around and punish the bad kids, see, Santa Claus doesn't do anything to the bad children. So there's no coal in your stocking if Santa Claus gives the kids coal because they've been bad. Santa Claus doesn't play that role. This is where we get the coal, the whole idea of coal that Santa Claus gives the kids in the United States, because basically we've taken the Krampus aspect of punishing the bad kids for bad behavior, and we now give that onto Santa Claus. So Santa Claus gives presents to the good boys and girls, and he also gives coal to the bad boys and girls. So that's really, Krampus is not something that's big here in the United States, but there are some places that it is. Krampus embodies the consequences of misbehavior. And some people say, yeah, it's a need for the moral order within society. By portraying a fearsome figure that punishes naughty children, the legend of Krampus serves as a cautionary tale, encouraging adherence to societal norms. And the fear, by the way, of encountering Krampus on Krampusnacht, that is no joke. That is really, really serious. I have some friends that actually live in Germany, and Krampus is not something to play around with. Kids are really legitimately frightened of this thing, and I understand. Hello, everybody. And by the way, the fear of encountering this creature on Krampusnacht is intended to promote good behavior and obedience among good children. Now, what happens also is if the kids are misbehaving, then the parents will say, Krampus is going to show up. Krampus is going to show up. And then someone outside will have chains and rattling chains. So they'll give them plenty of time before Krampusnacht, before the night, before Krampus shows up, and now they're being punished. So that's how they use Krampus. The observance of Krampusnacht and the presence of Krampus in parades and festivities, by the way, again, they're huge, they're integral elements of cultural tradition. It maintains a sense of identity even within communities. The figure of Krampus embodies a rich tapestry of folklore, ritual, symbolism, contributing to the preservation of cultural heritage. Now, from a psychological standpoint, the legend of Krampus reflects societal fears and the human need, some people argue, for moral order. So people who support Krampus, this is what they argue. The contrasting figures of St. Nicholas and Krampus, it embodies the dual nature of human behavior, confronting individuals with consequences of their actions, and the allure of benevolence versus punishment. And this psychological tension contributes to the enduring impact of the Krampus legend. Now, the presence of Krampus, it's in local traditions and festivities. It contributes to cohesion in communities. It provides shared cultural narrative. It reinforces social bonds. In the context of child rearing, the legend of Krampus serves as a tool that many people argue for instilling a sense of accountability, moral responsibility in children. Some people argue that they don't like this. I'm curious. I'm curious about what you think. Based on what I've told you so far on Krampus and St. Nicholas, do you think that using this legend of Krampus by teaching children from right or wrong, and that they will be punished by this beastly figure, do you think that is psychological trauma to children? Do you think that's evil? I'm curious about what you guys think. Just so far from what, again, Krampus is this horrible, horned, disfigured creature. And again, the parents and grandparents says that, he roams the woods at night. So stay away from there. Don't go out. I'm just curious. Some say no, some say no. Do you think parents using Krampus to tell children, if you don't behave, Krampus is going to visit? Do you think that is psychological torture? So you personally, yes, I personally do think it's traumatic. Okay. Judy Ann says it's kind of parallel to the devil. So we get Michelle saying no. So we see yes, some say no. Depends on the severity. Yeah, from a therapy point of view, cropsy is the same. The British used John Paul Jones. Yeah, it is interesting. It's interesting to get people's perspective on this. Christine says, "I wish I knew this when my kids were young." Okay. Well, basically, that's how it's used. It's used as, if you're not good, then on Krampusnacht, Krampus is going to visit you, and you're going to be punished. You're going to get you're going to be in trouble. So it's used as, instead of Santa Claus having the list, and he knows if you're good and knows and naughty and you get to coal. Santa Claus doesn't play that role. Saint Nicholas plays the role in these cultures as the jolly saint that just loves to give. Wow. Okay, so 2 votes. All right, there's only 2 votes here. Okay, so most people say no. All right. It's interesting. But Krampus does play a vital role in shaping the cultural landscape and society, social dynamics of these communities, where the legend endures even today. Through its symbolism, traditions, and psychological impact, Krampus serves as a powerful embodiment of the enduring struggle between good and evil, punishment, reward. Now, believe it or not, it's actually, it's even today we have Krampus. There was a movie that was recently made, not too long ago. I can't remember exactly what it was. I actually like that movie. I enjoy the movie itself, Krampus. We can talk about that in just a second. But over the years, Krampus has actually gained international attention and has become a popular figure in contemporary culture. It actually inspired various forms of artistic expressions, including literature and even movies and visual arts. Yeah, 2015. Yep. If you haven't seen this movie, check it out. Check it out. It's actually pretty cool. In this 2000, it's a 2015 horror comedy film. It's called Krampus. It brought renewed interest in this folklore figure, further embedding Krampus in popular culture. Krampus, again, he is a companion to Saint Nicholas from Central European folklore. It's made an impact on even popular culture today. And Krampus has been the subject of numerous literary works, books, as I said, short stories, academic studies exploring the origins, movies. Authors have delved into the rich tapestry of this Krampus folklore, shedding light on the historical, cultural, and even psychological dimensions. Krampus has been prominently featured in film and television. Check again. I think you'll like it. It's a 2015. It's Krampus. It's directed by Michael Dougherty, and it's a really interesting movie. What happened? Well, I don't want to tell you what happens in the end, because then I'll ruin it. I don't want to tell you, but just take a look at it if you haven't seen it. The distinctive imagery of Krampus with its horned beasts-like visual image, the menacing presence, it's inspired artists and designers to incorporate this folklore legend into various forms of visual art, including illustrations, paintings, sculptures, digital media. And this iconic portrayal of Krampus has become a compelling subject for many people, artistic interpretation. The legend of Krampus, by the way, has spurred the organization of festivals, parades, themed events in various parts of the world. Communities and even enthusiasts have embraced the tradition of Krampusnacht, staging elaborate parades where individuals, they put on these costumes are, I have to say, some of these costumes are pretty amazing, showcasing the enduring appeal of this folklore figure. And now the popularity, by the way, in Krampus in popular culture has also led to the creation of merchandise and collectibles featuring this iconic imagery of this legendary figure. From toys, figurines to apparel, novelty items, Krampus-themed merchandise has found a dedicated following. I mean, there are some big-time followers here. As I talk, it also has been featured in some video games and several other media outlets. So this Krampus, it continues to capture the imagination of audiences. And the enduring presence of Krampus in popular culture reflects the timeless appeal of folklore mythology, and through its portrayal in literature, film, visual arts, cultural events, Krampus has become a recognized and influential symbol, leaving, I think, an indelible mark on the cultural landscape. It certainly has in Europe. Now, again, as I talked about from the psychological perspective, the figure of Krampus can be seen as a manifestation of societal fears and the need for moral order. Now, sociologically speaking, the tradition of Krampus, it provides an insight into the ways in which communities reinforce behavioral standards and norms, particularly in the context of child rearing. The figure, by the way, the figure of Krampus holds significance from both psychological and sociological perspectives. And there is fear and morality when you're dealing. Well, thank you very much, Ellen. Thank you. There is fear and morality when you're dealing with Krampus. The legend of Krampus taps into the primal fears, the innate human understanding of consequences. And there are, by the way, quite a few people who tell that they have come across a real Krampus. Now, do I necessarily believe that? Well, no. Krampus serves as a powerful mythological symbol, embodying the consequences of misbehavior and the need for moral order within society. The tradition of Krampus reinforces social norms and values within communities. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. The presence of Krampus in local customs and festivities, it contributes to the preservation of cultural heritage. And I don't have that. I don't see an issue with that. Now, of course, when you're talking about Krampus in the United States, some communities have actually adopted the tradition of Krampus parades and events, showcasing the global reach of this intriguing folklore figure. And as I talked about, it's in the Alpine folklore. It's very, very, very well known in Austria, southern Bavaria, parts of Switzerland, but it has gone so far and spread so far. But Krampus has gained popularity in global pop culture. Now, for those of you who don't know, this has been fueled by the rise of Krampus Lof. Krampus Lof. You can Google this. Krampus Lauf. Okay, Krampus Lauf. Krampus Lof. What that means is Krampus Run. It's a Krampus Run tradition where people actually dress up as Krampus, and then they parade down the streets with little birch branches or whips. And additionally, Krampus has been featured, as I said, in film. But there's a lot of I'm telling you, these themed festivals are huge, more so than you probably think there are. And even the tourism for Krampus, the concept of Krampus has also been used to promote tourism in regions where the legend originates, which is like pretty cool. I mean, if you think about how amazing it is. But I think it was in southern, I think it's in Florida. I think it is. Let me just check on this. I think I think there was. Yeah, there we go. Krampus, the parade. There, it's huge. It says here it's an infamous pagan hero known as Krampus, and the Alpine regions, we've talked about that. By the way, it might be or might not be surprising that big cities like Los Angeles and even Chicago have jumped on the bandwagon, but Krampus also found his way into the hearts of some less likely places as well. So outside of Europe, you'll be hard pressed to find truly authentic ceremonies. A few do exist, but each location in the States has their own way of celebrating. Some festivities are more authentic, and others are pretty much up for more of a scare tactic, and that's fine. The event company, 13th Floor Entertainment, they do a lot of haunted houses. They actually have a Krampus Haunted Christmas in several cities around the United States. I don't know how updated they continue, but they had some in Portland, Denver, Jacksonville, Chicago, New Orleans, Columbus, Nashville, Austin, Houston, Phoenix. So these they actually have Krampus Haunted Christmas. And in New York City, for one day only, folks, New York City turns to a world-class haunted house, the Blood Manor Scare Factory, into a terrifying celebration for Krampus. Run through this haunted house while an assortment of demons, friends chase and terrorize you. And of course, Krampus is there. Some people say that this particular haunted experience is fully immersive and interactive. There's also an annual Krampus Fest in New York City. They have a live DJ, a Wheel of Doom, and so you can check that out. Krampus Fest in New York City if you're in the area. They have in Portland, Oregon, Krampus Haunted Christmas. And so Portland's definitely embracing a more horrific side of the goat demon. The city puts on a Christmas-themed interactive haunted house, and you can take your photo with Krampus the same way children take their photos with Santa. In Washington, in Bellingham, Washington, they have the Krampus Con, K-O-N, and seasonal booze. Well, there we go. In Los Angeles, California, they do have the Krampus Lof. Remember, that's the Krampus Run. and the 18th century theatrical play. So LA has a few different things going on in December. They host a yearly Krampus loft. That's not so much of a run or parade, but more of an interactive ruckus, featuring a couple dozen Yuletide devils and mountain spirits in handcraft costumes. There's live metal music, vendors, German food, performances. Los Angeles also puts on an 18th century inspired play based on the old traditional Nicholas play that would take place in Central Europe. And they've translated a few centuries old surviving German scripts to put a tradition. I've heard a lot of people really like it. In Washington, D.C., they had the Krampus Knot. So they have that in there. And in Bloomington, Indiana, Krampus Rampage and Bazaar. And by the way, that Bloomington holds the largest Krampus event in North America. It actually started in 2012. The Krampus Rampage, that's what it's called. So you can look it up if you're interested in joining these folks. It's in 2012. They started the Krampus Rampage. It's a celebratory nighttime winter parade. It promotes good behavior and dissuades bad behavior. But they do aim for historical accuracy. So that's something if you're really interested in. In St. Paul, Minnesota, they have celebrating the Alpine heritage. So it's called the Minnesota Krampus, if you're in that area. It aims to promote the culture and customs of Alpine holiday traditions. And they also provide academic scholarships to college students who are interested in topics involving the Alps and its people. In New Orleans, there is the Crew, that's Krewe, Krewe, Crew of Krampus. It's all about keeping things on a more traditional side. So each year in Louisiana, New Orleans, they put on the Krampus No Loft Parade. It's a big spectacle. It has performers, German witches, woodland spirits, other pagan creatures. It's very unique to New Orleans. So if you're in that area, you might want to check that out. And they have St. Louis, Missouri. They have actually in St. Louis, they have the Krampus Research Association. Yep, you've heard it right. They have the Krampus Research Association in St. Louis, Missouri. This year will mark their 7th or 8th annual Krampus Knot. It's mostly a pub crawl. It's a group considers themselves a Society for the Advancement of Krampus-related Studies. That's a 501, by the way. And then, of course, we have in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, the oldest celebration in America. That's what they say. Columbia is able to boast that it was the first to host a traditional celebration of the Christmas devil, Krampus, in the United States. It started in 2010. So their Krampus Knot is filled with booze and spankings. If you've been bad, you're going to get spanked. So it's Austria style. It's a night of revelry and where it's encouraged to just have a good time. As founder Christopher Bickle proclaims, the naughty will atone. So anyway, you can just look that up. There's a lot of places where you can go. And yeah. So Krampus is really cool. I would encourage you for this Christmas, if you've not watched Krampus, watch the movie. And then what I will do next week, I'll talk about the ending, because the ending has confused a lot of people. And I happen to know a few people who worked in Krampus. They weren't like the cast members or anything like that. They were just people behind the scenes. And I asked them about this because I said, "What you got to explain this ending to me, because it's kind of like, what does it mean?" So they told me, at least what the director said. So I'll tell you what they said next week, but I ain't gonna tell you now because I don't want to ruin the movie, because some people might not have seen it. So there we are. That is your presentation for Krampus. So if you have not been good, if you have been bad, then you cannot use the excuse that you did not know that Krampus, because Krampus is around. And if you are bad, well, you've been warned. You have been warned. So that definitely includes Mr. Producer. All right. So there we are, folks. Where's the movie at? Oh gosh, it is playing on. I know it's playing on cable, but I don't know where it's actually being played and streamed now. I'm sure there's let's see, Krampus streaming. Let's find out. I just typed in Krampus streaming, so it looks like Peacock has it, Amazon Prime, Hulu. There's several places. YouTube. Well, yeah, there's Amazon does. So there's several places that have it. Peacock TV does have Krampus. Oh yeah, check. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting movie. I like Krampus. It's a good movie. Oh, you just watched it on Peacock? You know, some people didn't like it, but I didn't have a problem with Krampus. Actually, yeah, that's right. It's on cable currently right now, so you can watch it. Pretty much, it's really running everywhere right now, which is understandable because it is that time of year. That time of year, folks. So there we are. There we have the presentation, and yeah, Mr. Producer, have we heard anything from Travis? Have we? I don't know if we have heard anything or no, because we were trying to talk about get Travis on from that movie, from his experience of being abducted by aliens. So we were talking about the possibility that we can get him on, but I don't know if he is. Yeah, so we'll have to see. I'll let you guys know if we can get something. Then that would be really cool. Do I? Oh yeah, I definitely decorate for Christmas. Yeah, there's no. I have no problem decorating for Christmas, and as a matter of fact, well, behind us normally I have the background for Christmas as well. If for those of you, yeah, he was the Travis Walton. He was in a movie. Actually, a movie was made after his life, and says he was abducted by aliens, and so it's a good movie. So, now, if you like romance stories, I'm not a big romance story kind of guy, but there are some. If you love the paranormal, which obviously you must be because you're here. Yeah, I agree. It is terrifying. What is that movie called? My brain is just said goodbye. I don't know why my brain is not working right now, but that's Travis. It's a Travis Walton movie. A Fire in the Sky. There we go. The brain just said, "Oh, it's called Fire in the Sky." It's a 1993 movie, and it's based on his life, based on his experience. And yep, and so we're possibly gonna, hopefully, we'll be able to get him on. I think that'd be pretty cool. So if you are interested in romance and you like the paranormal, well, here are a couple. And again, this is not my thing, but that's okay. That's okay. We have a lot of folks out here who do like paranormal romance stories. Listen, whether you like it or not, Twilight was what $1 billion I think they made on Twilight, the movie. So obviously people do enjoy it. So this is from Jessica Pride. Jessica Pride. What is paranormal romance? She says, well, the hardest part of making the list for her was making perimeters for it. She knew straight away that she had to have close distinction for it because there is definitely a difference between paranormal romance and urban romantic fantasy. Both have magical elements, but the true paranormal element is the beings involved, like vampires, werewolves, witches, and ghosts. One is broken down into series featuring single couples in each book with each romantic arc ending at the end of each book. So these are the things that she says you should check out. If you like romantic paranormal movie or shows or reads or whatever, A Lady of Rook's Grave Manor. That's the name of the title of the book. A Lady of Rook's Grave Manor by Catherine Moon. Now she says, I realize I'm coming right out of the gate with a cheat that defies exact rules, But this is partially a paranormal romance, she says, so I'm allowing it. Also, I think that if you haven't read this book and you like books featuring multiple partners and interesting cross-relationship dynamics and a lot of very romantic experiences, then you should be reading this. So Catherine Moon, it's called A Lady of Rook's Grave, Rooks Grave Manor. Another, she says, you need to read is Dark Needs at Night's Edge. Well, that's an interesting title. Dark Needs at Night's Edge. And that's by Cressley Cole. Now, she says, I'm going to admit, I asked the experts about this best place to start with Immortals After Dark, because a hunger like no other really didn't do it, she said, for her. And they really came through. So the consensus was that Dark Needs at Night's Edge, she says, is a great entry point because the love interest is learning about the world, and so can you. Also, there's the ghost of a former ballerina and an exiled vampire warrior stuck together in an old mansion. Well, that sounds interesting. So yeah, Dark Needs at Night's Edge by Cressley Cole. The next book, she says, is The Tenant. The Tenant by Katrina Jackson. So she says, what happens when you inherit a haunted house? Noel is about to find out when he discovers that his aunt has passed and left him her house in Louisiana. So Noel jumps at the chance to live by himself and start fresh in a new place. He just isn't expecting to move into a house that needs a lot of love and possibly an exorcist. She says, I mean, it's Ruby. Ruby rightfully stole this house back from a terrible person nearly 100 years ago. And she's not about to let someone else move into her space. So there's it's a romance. Don't tell me Noel and Ruby decide to, hey, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend. Anyway, the next one is A Wolf in Duke's Clothing. A Wolf in Duke's Clothing by Susanna Allen. She says, we don't talk a lot about historical paranormal romances for those of you who like history, but they are always fun. This one is particularly good if you like historical and paranormal, but don't get your hands on books that are both very often. So Alfred is a duke, and you think people would fawn all over him, as people in historical romances are wont to do, but they like dukes. But many of his peers finding him too unnerving, as well as they should, since, he's a werewolf and he's looking for his mate. A Wolf in Duke's Clothing. This next one is Mating the Huntress. Okay, by Talia Hibbert. She says, I will happily wait 1,000,000 years for the next book about these sister huntresses, because the world that Talia Hibbert has created is magical. Using her given chops at romantic comedy, she gives us an all too brief story about Chastity, a monster hunter and barista, and Luke, the lovesick wolf who keeps coming into her family's cafe. It is a laugh out loud funny, and it is good balance of romance, action, and family dynamics. Again, if you like to read paranormal romance, Mating the Huntress, there you go. Wanting a Witch by Lauren Connolly. Wanting a Witch by Lauren Connolly. It's a romantic between a witch and a vampire. So when vampire Keita shows up at Witch's Rose House to thank her for saving her life years ago, she expects that to be the end of it. But thanks to circumstances, Keita ends up needing a place to stay, and Ro has a guest room. As the pair spend more time together, they learn more about each other and the falsehoods that have purported the incompatibility between vampires and witches for centuries. Well, this next book is called Haunted by Christina Jones. And there's a few more. Christina Jones is not known to be a paranormal romance author, but much as she does everything else, she settles us into her world and takes us along for quite the ride. See, Kalita is just a small town girl living in a lonely world until she meets the dark and mysterious Aram. Why does she feel there's something off about her past? And why does she keep having these absolutely strange hallucinations? Well, Haunted by Christina Jones. Not the Witch You Wed. Not the Witch You Wed by April Asher. So she says, I don't read a lot of paranormal romances set in magical norm worlds. So it was interesting to be dropped into a New York City where there is a council of supernatural beings and a universal hierarchy. She says Violet was born to a magical family, but doesn't have any magic herself. Well, that's no good. So when the council surprises her with the requirement to complete a witch bond, even without technically being a witch, she turns to the last man she expects to need, the alpha werewolf of North America. The same person who broke her heart. Da-da-da-dum. Well, that's a good. I have not heard about that one yet. That book. There you go, Andrew. Maybe you should read it. Or maybe you should write one. Here's one: Human Enough. Human Enough by E.S.U. Y.U. This is a short novel that packs quite the punch. Noah is an autistic vampire hunter who joined the organization to avenge his murdered parents. But things at work might not be all they seem. See, when a raid leaves him captured by a vampire, he meets Jordan, a quiet, sweet vampire who is just as much a captive as Noah is. But two heads are better than one, right? If they get out of this alive, maybe they can figure out what secrets both sides are hiding. Well, here's one called Frostbite by J. Emery. Okay. Here we've got another vampire hunter. He was recently retired and a vampire, but this time they're snowed in together. That's interesting, isn't it? So that's already pretty interesting. So this is Frostbite by J. Emery. So a retired vampire hunter. So there's a joke there somewhere. A retired vampire hunter and a vampire are snowed in together. Fancy vampire prince Ezra goes out for a night on the town, only to end up kidnapped. He escapes relatively easily, but finds himself alone and unsure where he is until he finds an unoccupied cabin in the woods. Until Morgan, who has just gotten into a row with his hunter family, appears at the same cabin. And now the two have quite the conundrum because the snow is still falling. They have no connection to the outside world. And they're each finding the other just a little too attractive. Well, all right. Well, there you go. So you can check that one out if you want to. The next one is Bear With Me, B-E-A-R, Bear With Me by Lucy Eden. So she says this is her favorite of the series, is actually The Wolf of Wall Street, because Beauty and the Beast vibes, but Bear With Me is a joy and a delight all the same. She says Chelly is an influencer who had a little bit of a meltdown after a breakup and is now recuperating at a lovely mountain resort. Well, good for her. Now, what she doesn't know, though, is that she's actually staying at a resort designed for shapeshifters. And the bear that's been passing through at night is the grumpy guy who runs it. All right. Yep, Bear With Me. That's it. Yep, Bear With Me. By Lucy Eden. The Last Wolf. The Last Wolf, everybody, by Maria Vale. So the Legend of All Wolf series is one that differs greatly from many wolf shifter romance in that instead of humans who take wolf form, these are wolves who become human. Silver sits very low in her pack's hierarchy. And the last thing she should be doing is helping a stranger. But she does and ends up helping him when he is injured and staying with him as a potential mate. There are a lot of packed politics and there's some gruesome stuff in it in this book, she says, but the romance and the non-romance plot are very well balanced. Okay. So you check that out. Sing Me to Sleep by R.M. Virtues. Sing Me to Sleep. R.M. Virtues. She says, I broke my own rules again with this one because it's really monster / fantasy. But seriously, she said, this is my list and she wants everyone to read it. Sing Me to Sleep by R.M. Virtues. She said, Penelope has been dealing with a great deal of grief and loss recently. And on top of it all, she's been having trouble sleeping. When she finally takes some sage advice and uses a sleep aid of sorts, she finds herself imprisoned by her own mind in a sleep paralysis. That's scary. Archon is a demon of the sort that latches on to the fear that comes with the paralysis. But there's a connection between them. That's not good. That neither of them expects, and the fallout might change all of hell. Folks, let me tell you something. Look, don't fall in love with a demon. Okay, that's bad. That's just bad. Don't fall in love with a demon. That's not good. So just don't do it. Okay? And if you do, and you call me, you say, Bishop Long, I fell in love with a demon, I'm going to roll my eyes and say, well, why'd you do that? So just don't do it. Okay. Romancing the Inventor. Romancing the Inventor by Gail Carriger. Yeah, what was she smoking? All right. Romancing the Inventor. It's a servant for a vampire hive falls in love with the inventor they have out in their shed. But the inventor is oblivious as all get out. That's it. That's the story, she says. If you're familiar with well, that's kind of dumb. I don't know, why would you do that? Anyway, Nothing But the Wolf in Me. That's the name of this, the book. Nothing But the Wolf in Me by Nikki Clark. She said this one moves a little more slowly than some of the others on the list, but the world building and characters will keep you reading. Valina is happy hiding in a mountain cabin with her weapons until she ends up saving a dog, a wolf, who finds his way to her porch. When he's well enough to reveal himself as a magical being, she ends up pulled into his universe. Ever read a Black Wolf clan? Multiple Black Wolf clans? She said, I honestly just want a history of their existence, but we can't have everything. So there you go. Those wolves, those are big. She's referring to those big, huge wolves. There's other ones. My Roommate is a Vampire. That's the name of the book. And no, it's not about Miss Wilma. My Roommate is a Vampire. Well, I don't live with My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. She says, speaking of paranormal rom-coms, this one is a perfect blend of fun shenanigans and dark secrets. She says Cassie is an artist who is about to be evicted from her apartment and therefore finds herself applying for a room in an apartment that might be owned by a serial killer. Well, that's not good. But when she meets Frederick, her new landlord, she finds him charming. It's a little odd. And when she finds bad evidence of foul play, he has to come clean. You see, he's a vampire, and he wants her to teach him how to operate in the modern world. Well, I don't know about this. So take a look at those if you want. If you're interested in reading these books, hopefully you'll like some of them. A lot of people likes these movies, or they like to read. Many people prefer actually reading than watching movies, because you're kind of at the mercy of the director and how and their portrayal of the movie itself. So, okay, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. I have lots and lots and lots and lots of articles that I decided to bring with you guys because I want to talk to you guys about many of these. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to say yes, no, or I don't know. The scary stuff is most fun. Yeah. I agree. There's some, this was from Andrea Mino. And when I read this article, I thought, I need to share this with everybody because it really is true. Some of these things are disturbing. The paranormal. The person says it's a realm filled with the mystery and intrigue, and one that has captivated the minds of people for centuries. From tales of leprechauns in trees to ghosts whispering at night, the paranormal has been a source of fascination and fear for generations. But it's not just about the stories we tell each other around the campfire. The paranormal is a living, breathing part of our world. And according to some people, anyway, who've been driving to, who's been driving to do some pretty odd things by the paranormal entities, or they say. So this person put a list together. So the most bizarre cases of the paranormal making that people do weird stuff in the flesh and blood real world, according to some people. So if you're looking for a little bit of the weird and wonderful, then you come to the right place, they say. Now, whether you believe in the paranormal or not, these stories are sure to leave you with a few questions. The first one is, Dad is still keeping tabs, even from the afterlife. There's a lot of people who say this happens. I've never had this before. But according to someone close to him, David Bowie, the singer, said his dad's ghost called him every day for a week after he died. It was always at the same time, so he was sure it was his dad from beyond. There is a lot of people who tell me that they have, sometimes they've got emails. Sometimes many times I've been told that they'll answer the phone and it's kind of staticky and they can hear their loved one on the other end. They'll say, I'm okay. Everything is okay. I have never, have any of you had that experience? I've never had that. I don't know if I would really like that. Yeah, Teresa says that's scary, sad, and comforting all at once. Yeah, but see, I just don't know. Because my mind would immediately be going through, okay, who's pranking me here? Because I think that would be a terrible prank. But have any of you had that experience? Renee, it happened at your grandma's house? It happened to you? I don't think I would like that. That to me, I mean, if the phone rang and I picked it up, and on the other end, I'm hearing my mom who passed away. I don't know. I'd have a problem with that. Her wall phone will ring. Kind of not a phone call, but a photo sent from a past family member of a random room. So it was sent an email. A photo was sent an email from a loved one, a loved one who's passed. And let's see, my mind would immediately go to, I mean, if it's a text, an iPhone. Okay, so your loved one who passed on, a picture of a room was sent to you on your iPhone. So my immediate question is, does anyone have this phone? Sent to a shared family album. So I just have to, does anybody have the access to the phone? Was it turned on sometime? Because see, my mind goes into, okay, is it possible that the person took a picture and sent it and it didn't actually go through because of signal interference, and then someone turned it on and then they had the signal and then it came through? That's happened before. To me, it's happened before. So see, that's immediately where my mind goes. We'll talk about that on Sunday. We've already talked about purgatory. I did a whole presentation on purgatory. But tonight is strictly Bible. Tonight's paranormal. People wait an entire week, so I'm pretty strict about keeping things separated. Sundays and Wednesdays, we are our Bible study, and then Fridays are paranormal, strictly paranormal. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that's now, a lot of people have told me this, so it's okay. A lot of people have told me this. Many people have seen what they would describe as their fur babies who have passed on, and they have seen them. Now, a lot of people have told me this. I myself have absolutely 1,000,000% experienced that. No doubt about it. I would take a lie detector test right here, right now. So there's a lot of people. Robbie Williams, the singer, sold his house, sold it because it was too haunted for his taste. He got rid of it. He said, nope, I'm done. His daughter said she didn't like living there, and Williams himself says that he saw his dog, Trixie's ghost, all the time, and it disturbed him. Now, I will tell you, I don't care what anyone says. I know for a fact that I have seen that. I've seen Kylie, I've seen Fuzzy, and there have been times where I would be sitting on the couch, and Fuzzy was a schnauzer, and Fuzzy would have a way. Before he would sit down, he would do several loops. He just has to do it, and the way he did it was kind of whoa, and it was really strange. It wasn't just like a dog just kind of going around circling, but it was really weird how. But I was sitting and I was watching, I think, the news, and I was talking to Wilma, and I absolutely felt the same feeling I had when Fuzzy would do it. And I was like, Wilma, I mean, I could feel it. And that was pretty. I've never seen them. No, I have not. But I certainly did experience that. You've heard, Jackie says, I've heard my dog shake and her claws running across the kitchen floor after I released her ashes. Yeah, I tell you, that has happened. A lot of people have told me that has actually happened. That happened. That actually occurs more often than you think. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it because then they think, oh, the people are going to, think that I'm crazy or whatever. But I just people got to relax with that, because there are things that clearly something is going on that we don't know. By the way, I talked about this last week, and I wanted to chat with you guys because remember I kind of teased about this, but I forgot to talk about this. This is by T.K. Randall. There was a DNA analysis conducted on what they believe possibly is a Yeti hair found during the trip of the Himalayas. Now, look, people are going to say, oh, that's so stupid, Bigfoot. That's so dumb. Okay, fine. I know a lot of people have their own opinions, but I know I have spoken to a game warden in Alaska, and this game warden is a natural Alaska. I mean, he was born in Alaska, raised. He is a hunter. He's a game warden. He knows Alaska, and he was very clear that what he saw was not a bear. It was not a moose. It was a bipedal animal. It was some creature. He said it looked human. It was very hairy. It was huge, 7 feet, 8 feet tall. Folks, people say, well, he saw a bear. He saw a bear. Look, I have said this before. If you're a game warden in Alaska and you're born and raised in Alaska and you are an avid hunter and you don't know the difference between a bear and a moose and a bipedal creature that's 8 feet tall, you shouldn't be a game warden in Alaska. So I think people who immediately just wanted to attack people's credibility just because it makes them uncomfortable really shows more of their closed-mindedness. Because these people have nothing to gain. He's not writing a book. He doesn't want to do a movie. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. He's just telling his story. But this was not a glance. Some people say, well, he didn't glance. He had an eye contact with this creature. And he is absolutely convinced, without question, he's been on several shows. He's absolutely convinced that what he saw was some type of creature, Bigfoot, Yeti, whatever you want to call it. But he said it was not a bear and something was there. There's just far too many people there seeing this creature. Well, why haven't we found the bones? Well, we go out in the woods. You may not find bones of any creatures at all for a long time. We just don't know. We don't know about these creatures. We don't know. So T.K. Randall says this. Andrew Benfeld and Richard Horsey had traveled through the region looking for evidence of this cryptid. Well, the travels of the pair, they visited India, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan. I mean, there's search everywhere. And of course, earlier this year on the BBC Radio 4 program called Yeti. So Benfeld, who is a writer and meditation teacher, teamed up with skeptic and political analysis writer who has stories and firsthand accounts of the Yeti from locals across the region. He says, if I could convince Richard, I knew I was on to something, Benfeld said. So this Richard guy is a skeptic. Now, while they didn't witness the creature themselves during the journey, the pair did find and retrieve possible physical evidence in the form of some hair samples, which they later submitted to DNA, and they wanted to know if that belonged to an unknown species or not. Now, several months later, the results of that analysis have come back. And for those of you who want to know, the sample turned out to belong to a horse. To a horse. Sorry, folks. It wasn't a Yeti. While the result is certainly not what they were hoping for, the pair note that the Yeti continues to be a part of the local culture in their region. One of the things that they did, I know that I talked to one group of people. They had feet plasters, huge, and they actually took it to a foot doctor for analysis. They wanted to see if anybody could possibly fake these footprints. And now, of course, he's a doctor. He's a foot doctor. And he said that there's a 0% chance, based on the plaster that he has, there's a 0% chance that someone could have faked it. Zero. Only because the intricacy of the, we have prints on our fingers. It was same thing goes with their feet. And he said it's not possible that you could fake that. So he was absolutely convinced that this was of some creature of unknown substance, and he absolutely believed that it was a living being and was not fake. Now, again, I don't know. I wasn't there. I didn't see it, but I do know people who are absolutely convinced that these things exist, and you're not going to convince them otherwise. I've also spoken to several people in Alaska who are hunters, and I've asked them, and they actually look at you crazy if you tell them that Bigfoot doesn't exist. They actually question your intelligence, because for them, it's not a matter of if. Of course it is, they say. There's absolutely no question. I don't know what these things are, but there are many species that we have said that have expired many, many centuries ago, and here they show up. So I don't know. We don't know what these things are. Yeah, there's a debate on what if they're interdimensional beings. It's interesting. And there's been recordings that people have captured that are really interesting. If you hear them, they're pretty fascinating. Okay, but if you have questions, jump in to ask while I'm doing these presentations, these articles, because I have lots and lots of articles that I saw that I wanted to share with you guys. So if you're enjoying these, then I'll just keep doing the articles. Listen to this. This is by Estelle. This is by Liz Verse. And this author says there are 10 eerie, real-life paranormal encounters to creep you out. So this is what the author says. What are ghosts? Are they creepy figments of an overactive or jittery imagination? Or are they manifestations of souls that cannot pass on to the next phase? If they do in fact exist, why do only certain people sense or see them? Why do some ghosts haunt places for decades only to disappear abruptly, while others appear only on the anniversary of a tragedy? These questions are likely to remain unanswered as the debate around ghosts and other paranormal entities continues. However, many people have had real eerie life experiences that have shaken up and even convinced some skeptics that certain specters may be real. So here are some real life eerie paranormal encounters that the author says are sure to creep you out. This is called Saying Goodbye. Nina DeSanto was busy closing up her New Jersey hair salon one cold Saturday evening in 2001 when she spotted one of her customers standing outside the shop's window. Michael had become a good friend of hers over the years, and she knew that he'd been going through a tough time after his wife left him for his stepbrother, and he lost custody of his children to boot. Now, Nina had tried her best to cheer Michael up whenever he came to her hair salon, and had even taken him in for drinks a couple of times to give him a chance to talk. So when she opened the door to him that night, Michael seemed transformed and even happy. He smiled at her and said that he couldn't stay long, but just wanted to stop by and thank Nina for everything that she'd done for him. They chatted a bit, and then each went their own way for the evening. Early the next morning, Nina received a distressing call from a salon employee. The woman told her that Michael's body had been found the previous morning around 9 hours before Nina had spoken to him at the salon. He had unalived himself. In today's terms, Nina had an experience with a crisis apparition, what many people call, which some people are convinced is the spirit of a recently deceased person who appears to close friends and family to say goodbye. There's very little scientific research to fall back on it when it comes to these apparitions, but some believe that it's merely a trick of the brain. What do you guys think about that? Now you have a twin. That's a good point, though. That's a good point, Teresa. What do you think about this? Do you believe? Now, I have spoken to many people who swear that this has happened to them. Absolutely 100% swear. Do you buy it? Now, of course, I don't know this story. I have not done background digging and finding this out, but these are stories that are reported. Yeah, how can you, that's true. That's a very good question, Renee. That's you know what? I think Renee just destroyed this argument, didn't she? Renee asked a very, very pivotal question. And because I just ended, there's a very little scientific research to fall back on when it comes to these apparitions, but some believe that it's merely a trick of the brain. Okay. And Renee said, well, wait a minute. How can you train this be a trick of the brain if she didn't know that he was passed? That's a great question, because she didn't. At that time when she had that interaction with him, she had no idea that he had passed. So if she had known, and then she had this apparition or this experience, well, you can say it's probably a trick of the brain. But she didn't know. She had the experience, and she was told later that he had passed before she had that experience. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Here's this one. This is called No Time. Nature can be extremely cruel. When the 2011 Japan earthquake triggered a massive tsunami, people had mere minutes to flee their homes and to stay alive. But hundreds of those who made it to evacuation sites were swept away. And as the waves overwhelmed them, and as a result, nearly 20,000 people had passed, either from drowning or by blunt force after being hit by dislodged trees and other large pieces of debris. Weeks after the disaster, as those who survived were trying to figure out how to go on with their lives without their loved ones, some people started reporting seeing ghostly apparitions outside or lines outside what was used to be a supermarket. Others were kept awake at night by disembodied voices crying out in the dark. Shinchi Yamada and his two children somehow managed to escape the waves. Now, Shinchi later salvaged 2 Buddhist statues he found in the widespread rubble and brought them back to his temporary home. Almost immediately, both his children became ill. An unexplained chill invaded the house and would follow anyone who came inside. Shinchi knew it was time to call in the help of an exorcist after he felt someone walking over him as he lay in bed one night. The exorcist, Kancho Azawa, also had her own frightening tales to tell. She had been seeing headless and mutilated ghosts ever since the disaster. She advised Shinchi to build a shrine for the statues, which he did, and the ghostly activity in his home subsided a bit. But even though incidents still occur now and then, Shinchi believes the spirits that haunt his family are now at peace. Wow. That is crazy. Yeah. Here's another one. Ghost or demons. Ghost or demons. This story is very interesting, guys. I believe something happened in this house. There's no doubt something happened. Many people believe that there is no such thing as ghosts, and that whenever lights flicker on and off, or taps open or close themselves, there's a crooked demon, doing the work instead. Well, between 2011 and 2012, Latoya Ammons and her 3 children moved into a house on Caroline Street in Gary, Indiana. Almost immediately, Latoya sensed something was off. she and her mother, Rosa, would hear footsteps coming from the basement and doors creaking open when the children were fast asleep and no one else was in the house. If they thought the house was haunted by ghosts, they soon changed their minds when swarms of flies invaded the house's porch on the dead of winter, and the children suddenly started behaving strangely. Rosa once awoke to loud screams, only to find her 12-year-old granddaughter levitating over her own bed. Latoya found her youngest son in the closet, talking to an unseen presence. Her son was also thrown across the room by an invisible entity. Now, for those of you who are saying, "Oh, I don't believe this. I don't believe that." Well, the Department of Child Services was called by neighbors who thought the children were actually being abused. And case manager Valerie Washington interviewed the family at a local hospital. And during the interview, she witnessed Latoya's 9-year-old son crawl backward up the wall and ceiling, flip over his grandmother, and land on his feet. She's a kid. Now, look, folks. So you can be negative Nancy, negative Nancy all you want, and there's a lot of people who are negative Nancys out there. For whatever reason, I don't understand. But this is a case manager who works for the Department of Child Services, and she reported that she witnessed this 9-year-old son crawl backward up the wall and ceiling and flip over his grandmother. So it was then that an exorcist was called. He performed multiple exorcisms and is quoted as saying that the property was a portal to demons, and the Emmons family moved out soon after, and the house was demolished in 2016. It's called the Demon House, for those of you who know. Now, Zach, I'm friends with Zach. I speak to Zach. Zach bought it. But he also, and people say, well, he shouldn't have done that. That was just, well, folks, Zach is the owner of Ghost Adventures. He's an executive producer. He bought the house for $35,000. Now, and he had 24/7 access to it. And he made a documentary on it. So you got to think about, from a business perspective, he had 24/7 access to this house as long as he wanted. That is unbelievably cheap, considering the fact now you have access to this thing, to this location, and you can do whatever you wanted to. So from a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense that he would buy it, because it would be more expensive to pay, a location as often as time as he spent there. So he made a documentary off of it. So he made his money back and more. So it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to do that. So it's called the Demon House. And this is one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this ministry, is because there are people who are legitimately terrorized. And then there are clergy who tell these people, I'm sorry, I can't help you. There's no such thing as demons. And they don't give the family any help. They tell them it's all in their imagination. They tell them, oh, just ignore it. And then the family is left with nothing. They are completely denied help. The clergy won't even go to the family just to bless the home, for goodness sakes. Won't even do that. They immediately just discard them. And I think that is so wrong. I think that is evil. Because they're contacting clergy for help. And the least that a clergy member could do in the area is go bless the home. I mean, if you don't believe in a blessing, then why are you clergy in the first place, with all due respect? And then if activity starts up and you're like, okay, I don't know what this is I haven't studied this, then you contact other clergy. But I just think, I don't understand why people do this. I don't understand it. Garrett, see, I told you. Garrett said I've had some bad luck since Bobby Mackey's. Look, you got to stay away from those places. I tell people this all the time. It is dangerous. It is dangerous. And when I was on Ghost Adventures many years with Zach on Bobby Mackey's, I told him, look, I told him many, many years ago, you keep my number, you'll be needing it. And he's had some pretty violent activity in his home. I'm not going to go into what app that's, but he had mentioned briefly, and he did, and he spoke to me, and we had to handle it. But I'm telling you, this stuff is not a joke. And you go to locations that are known to be demonically infested. Why? Well, thank you very much, Lynn. Why do people why? Garrett, why? Is it because you're just curious? It's a dangerous curiosity. It's a dangerous curiosity. Here's we talked about this phone call in the 1960s. Sima Lieberman was in love and happy, and her hippie boyfriend Johnny had proposed to her, and they were being married soon after getting an apartment together. Late one night, Sima was at her mother's house when the phone rang. Sima answered and heard Johnny on the line. He sounded rushed, like he was far away, and she struggled to hear what he was saying because there was a lot of static, and she made out the words, "I love you," and "I'll never be mean to anybody again," before the line went dead. Sima tried to call Johnny back, but without any luck, and she finally fell asleep and awoke with an ominous feeling inside her chest. And a few hours later, she received the news from Johnny's mother that he had been murdered the night before. And shortly before the call came through to Sima. And throughout her life, Sima continued to believe that Johnny had contacted her after his death to say goodbye. So again, she received this phone call from a loved one who passed away before he made the phone call. Now, could people say, well, is it possible that she might have made a mistake? Well, no, you can look at the phone and see what time it called. I mean, it's pretty simple. You're talking what? I'm talking Bishop Long, the advice not hunting for haunted houses. I don't understand, Cindy. What do you mean you're talking Bishop James Long advice? Or you're taking? Oh, I think you're taking Bishop. Yeah, folks, let me just tell you this. Listen to me. You have to be for 2 decades now, I've been telling paranormal groups. I have a lot of friends out there who are paranormal investigators. I've been in the paranormal community for a long time. And I have told people for a long time, you need to understand there are consequences for investigating. There are consequences. And these consequences could be quite serious. Now, people say, well, I don't believe it. Well, it doesn't matter what you believe. Either demons exist or they don't. And if they didn't exist, I'd be doing something else with my time. I've said this a million times over and over and over again. I don't charge for this. I never have. I pay for it out of my own pocket. And I'm telling you, if demons did not exist, I'd be doing something else. I cannot tell you how many times I have had phone calls from friends, from paranormal investigators to tell me, okay, I investigated this place and now I'm having violent activity in my home and I'm scared. And I am really, really scared and I need your help. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. So I can tell you that this stuff really does exist, regardless if you believe it or not. There are some people, I don't believe it. Well, it doesn't matter. Either demons exist or they don't. I know they do because of what I've seen. But I also know they do because Christ said they do. So I'm not going to sit there and call Jesus a liar. It's very clear that demons exist. Again, even the Roman Church has a 2,000-year history. My goodness. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to waste their time. Their first mention of an exorcist in office actually comes from Pope Cornelius in 253. And even the medieval rites of exorcism included the renunciation of the devil and the pre-Christian deities. And the first form, the rite of exorcism, was written in 1614. So I'm telling you now that church communities don't waste their time. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But when you see certain activities occur, you can't deny what you're looking at. And people say, well, that you're confusing them with mental illness. Again, mental illness does not cause you to levitate. That's not mental illness. Mental illness does not cause the body's markings to appear on the body. That's not mental illness. Mental illness does not give you the ability of retrocognition or prognostication. That's not mental illness. Or languages that you've never studied and you're speaking the Our Father backwards in Aramaic as a form of mockery. That's not mental illness. So there there's clear indicators whether or not you could be dealing with someone who's mentally ill or someone who's possessed. And now the eyes going solid black, that could be a neurological condition. So I've seen the eyes go solid black. In my first exorcism, the eyes went solid black, but there were other things that were occurring. It wasn't just that. So I think people dismiss it just because it makes them uncomfortable, or perhaps maybe they haven't studied it, and that's fine. But I think when we start dismissing people's claim and just say, well, just pray over it and you'll be fine. There people are frightened. I've had people leave their home and refuse to go back in. They refuse. That is how terrified they are. And people don't do that for no reason. It's not so okay. See, bravery. I don't fear demonic entities. I don't fear them, because it's all parlor tricks. Everything they do is parlor tricks. The only thing that I get fearful of or deeply concerned about is the person who's possessed, because the body has sustained so much trauma from a physical level, certainly a physiological level, from a psychological level, from a spiritual level, from it breaks the intellect and will down, and the body can only sustain so much. So my main concern and fear is for the person, and how much more can the body take. That's my biggest concern. I appreciate it. These are parlor tricks. These are parlor tricks. The screeching, the multiple pitches, the eyes going black, the markings appearing on the body, the changing of the temperature in the room, the throwing the voice, even like I said, retrocognition, prognostication. These are all parlor tricks to frighten you, to stop the right, to disrupt the right. And you just don't do it. By the way, there's no such thing as a conversation during an exorcism. No such thing. Doesn't exist. Does not exist. So you can't. There is no conversation. You don't have a conversation with the demonic. That's ignorant. And matter of fact, the moment you do that is the moment you begin to lose. So the only time that you are interacting as far as wanting a response from the demonic is when you command in the name of Jesus to give its name in the hour of departure. That's it. That there's nothing else. There's nothing else you need to know. Nothing. Because it lies, and it will try to cause havoc and wreak havoc on you. So you just simply move on. And then you keep repeating. The rite is a repetition of prayer. It's a repetition of prayer. And all the parlor tricks, the manipulation of the temperature, the eyes, the screaming, those are parlor tricks to try to intimidate you. And then it will use everything. It will use everything that it possibly can to disrupt the rite. And you simply ignore it. Once you have the name of the demonic, then you have control. See, once it surrenders its true identity, understand that when a person is possessed, the intellect and will of the person has been eradicated. So the demonic is attacking the intellect. That's demonic obsession. And then it attacks the body. That's demonic oppression. So it's weakening the intellect and the physical aspects of the person to where thank you, Mr. President, so they can no longer fight the demonic off. Once that occurs, then the demonic can control the body. That's possession. Once we command in the name of Jesus that the demonic surrenders its name, we know that the demonic is the intellect, the will of the demonic is being weakened. So, and I'm not going to go into details here because I'm not going to. I got to be very careful, because if you give too much information, then people run out and do these things, and then they say, "Well, Bishop Long taught me." No, we're not playing that game. Not that you are, but people have done that before, where I've taught about demonology, and then there are things within the rite. Well, that's all I'm going to say. So anyway, it's important to know the hour of the name and the hour of departure. They can not only heat, but they can also make it very cold. It's a manipulation. Matter of fact, there was one time it was very hot, I mean, it was the air conditioning unit was not working in the house. And the room was chilled. I mean, it was, well, we could see our breath. And that was, it's all a manipulation. Again, manipulating the atmosphere to try to disrupt the rite. Whether it's increased heat to cause passing you out because you sweat, or extreme cold. It's that's what it does. TikTok, stay with me. I'm not going to go with you. I'm gonna stay with you guys for a little bit. So for those of you on Spreaker, I'm gonna say goodnight to you. Unfortunately, we have to wrap things up on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter on KGRADB Radio. So we have to wrap that up. But I'm going to stay on TikTok for a little bit and chat with you guys. So don't go anywhere, TikTok. Hang tight with me. Remember, friends, I tell you, and I'll be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Miss Wilma, and I will be here from 8 to 8:30. And then I will, at 8:30, I'll talk about demonology and other questions you guys might have. And we have Bible study this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Everybody's invited. Remember, friends, your value does not decrease based on someone's inability or refusal to see your worth. You are priceless. Don't let anybody tell you or convince you otherwise. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, KGRADB Radio. God bless, and we'll see you guys next week. The Sacred Division has been brought to you by Bishop Long's online paranormal course. Learn demonology, angelology, paranormal studies, and genealogy. It's 100% online, and you learn at your own pace. Please go to www.bishopjameslong.com and click on the paranormal course link.